I think we're going to do very, very well.
Many people think Donald Trump is on his way to the White House. They're wrong. In fact, it's unlikely that he'll even become the Republican nominee. But even if he does, he will not become president, and this is why. The math for Trump simply doesn't add up. Yeah, he's in the lead, winning more than a dozen states so far, but he hasn't been able to get more than 50% of the vote in any of his victories. 0. And it's actually a lot less than half of Republican voters supporting him. It's only 34%. And when Marco Rubio drops out after he loses his home state of Florida next week, most of his supporters aren't going to switch to Trump either. They're going to vote for John Kasich or Ted Cruz. So to prevent Trump from winning the nomination outright, his opponents need to make sure he wins less than 37% of the remaining votes, a figure he's not even getting now. Under this scenario, Trump would enter the convention with slightly more delegates than Ted Cruz, but not enough to secure the nomination on the first ballot. This is called a brokered convention, and there hasn't been one of those in 40 years. With this many candidates holding small but significant delegate totals, where numerous combinations could push someone over the 50% mark, the most likely outcome I see here is that Ted Cruz and John Kasich strike a deal to combine their delegates so one man becomes the nominee and the other his vice presidential running mate. But even if Kasich loses his home state of Ohio and has to drop out too, then Cruz will either win the nomination outright or hold Trump back from winning outright, and then in a brokered convention cut deals with Rubio or Rubio and Kasich to cross the threshold. But in this scenario, Trump supporters would be left feeling like the nomination was stolen from them. Many would stay home on election day or vote for Trump as a third-party candidate. The Republican vote would be split and the Democrats would win in a landslide. But let's rewind. Let's say, for the sake of argument, that Trump does somehow win enough delegates or cuts a deal in a brokered convention and becomes the nominee. This would rip apart the Republican Party. We're already seeing many on the right abandoning Trump, people who would actively campaign for a third-party option. This scenario, just like the earlier one, would split the conservative vote. So the Democrats would win a sweeping victory, gain complete control of Congress, and Trump wouldn't come anywhere near the White House. He'd be lucky if he got 30% of the vote. Now, Trump has argued that the Republican Party wouldn't turn on him like this because that would pretty much be political suicide. And he's right. Abandoning Trump if he wins the nomination would hand the presidency to the Democrats. But that's exactly what a lot of common sense Republicans would do, because they'll do a lot for their conservative principles, but they won't stand behind a bloviating, hateful bigot. It's obvious now to pretty much everyone, but a small, very loud minority of the American electorate, that making Donald J. Trump president would be extremely dangerous for our country and the entire world, and it would cement the Republican Party's legacy as the party of hate for an entire generation. Yes, many Republican policies are regressive, but the majority of Republicans are not blatant racists. To keep Donald Trump away from the Situation Room, many would be willing to do the patriotic thing and guarantee that his bid for the presidency goes up in flames. And while that means that the Tea Party-infested GOP's chances of success in the 2016 election will likely burn to the ground too, Republicans can hope that something new and better would rise from the ashes. Those are my thoughts. How do you feel about the Donald's candidacy? Thanks for watching. Until next time, for TDC, I'm Bryce Plank. This is my prediction for the 2016 election. Hillary Clinton will defeat Donald Trump in a landslide. I make this call based on Trump's awful performance since the conventions, the strength of Hillary Clinton's campaign, the strength of the allies that will be campaigning on her behalf, the demographics of the American electorate, general election polling, and the recent election results in Obama's victories in 2008 and 2012, and an important X factor, the first debate, that could be the most watched political event in American history and will set the terms of the election. If you thought Trump's war with the Khan family or his mocking of a handicapped reporter was his worst day, wait until he has to debate a highly skilled and battle-tested woman who's far more knowledgeable than he is about the intricacies of public policy for 90 minutes while fielding questions from skilled moderators who will be out to prove how unprepared he is for the presidency. It's going to be a bloodbath, and he has to go through that gauntlet 3 times. I predict he'll do it once, get destroyed, and then probably quit the race, if he even shows up to that first debate at all. Now to the Electoral College map. We'll start by giving Clinton and Trump the states their parties have won for the last 6+ presidential elections. As you can see, that puts Clinton only 28 electoral votes away from the 270 she needs for victory. For now, we'll go ahead and give Trump Arkansas, Indiana, Kentucky, Louisiana, Montana, Tennessee, and West Virginia, all states that President Obama lost in 2012. But that's about the end of the winning for Trump. Clinton has built double-digit leads in Colorado, New Hampshire, and Virginia, the home state of her running mate. With those states in the bag, you can see where the election becomes nearly impossible for Trump. Clinton has a large fundraising advantage, the full support of a united party, powerful allies who will be campaigning for her all over the country, and campaign offices in every one of these swing states. And she only needs to win one of them. Clinton is also polling very well in New Mexico, so she will win there, becoming the 45th president of the United States and our first female commander-in-chief, an incredibly historic moment for the country and the modern world. But back to the map. As I laid out earlier, with Trump heading for certain defeat, his campaign will collapse down the stretch. Clinton will win Ohio, Iowa, Nevada, North Carolina, and Florida. Libertarian candidate Gary Johnson will also undermine Trump by attracting large numbers of disillusioned Republican voters. Now, this is where things get really interesting. If Trump makes it clear he knows he's going to lose by dropping out altogether before any one of the 3 scheduled debates, or he simply stops campaigning with more than a week left before the election, things could get real ugly for the Republicans. Even the reddest meat Americans aren't going to vote for a guy who doesn't really want to be president. If that happens, at a minimum, Clinton will win Georgia and Missouri, and probably Arizona too, ground zero for Trump's wall with Mexico. Indiana, which Obama won in 2008, could turn blue, and so could South Carolina, Montana, North Dakota, and Kansas, where Clinton now, in August, trails Trump by just 5 points in the polls. That would make 2016 a wave election and could even give the Democrats full control of both houses of Congress, even though the Republicans pretty much cheated by gerrymandering House districts to heavily favor them after the 2010 census. So if I have to make an exact call today, and I do, because I'm crazy enough to be recording this prediction now, some 70 days before the election, barring an unpredictable game-changing bombshell, Trump will disintegrate under the pressure of the fall campaign, and soon-to-be President Clinton will win in a 408-130 landslide. Her long coattails will allow the Democrats to regain control of the Senate by a 53-47 margin, and the House winning about 220 seats. So that's my prediction. All the links for you to nerd out with me are linked below. Have fun, and make sure you post your prediction in the comments to help get this conversation rolling. Until next time, I'm Bryce Plank. Thanks for watching.
Last year, the stalwarts of American punditry predicted over and over and over again that Trump's candidacy would unravel, but it didn't. Don't take our word for it. Take a listen.
They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people.
Donald Trump isn't afraid to speak his mind, but this time it could cost him.
Most people think Trump is going to flame out or drop out.
He's going to flame out very, very quickly.
Trump isn't paying the price in the polls.
Now Donald Trump is a top contender for the Republican presidential nomination.
He's a war hero because he was captured. I like people that weren't captured, okay? I hate to tell you.
You have to ask yourself, has the Donald Trump shtick really run its course? And today, with these comments about John McCain, it very well might have.
I don't think this is the end, but I think, and this may be a little bit wishful thinking, it might be the beginning of the end.
I think this was the beginning of the end for Donald Trump.
Really the beginning of the end of Donald Trump.
I will eat my right hand if Donald Trump is the Republican nominee.
Meanwhile, here we go. A new PPP poll conducted after his remarks about McCain still show him in first place with 19%.
You could see there was blood coming out of her eyes, blood coming out of her wherever.
Red state organizers said this is the beginning of the end of Trump's campaign.
I think this could be the beginning of the end for Donald Trump.
I think this is the beginning of the end for Donald Trump.
2 new polls out today have Donald Trump in the lead of the GOP pack, even after his recent controversial comments about Fox News anchor Megyn Kelly.
Donald J. Trump is calling for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States.
Many people think that this controversy could be the last straw for Donald Trump.
I think this actually is the beginning of the end.
And there is new evidence today that Trump's recent comments about Muslims
aren't keeping his popularity from rising.
Donald Trump is not going to be our president. He will probably flame out. I would say probably within the next 3 to 6 months.
I don't think we're going to be talking about Donald Trump in 6 months like a meteor. I do think he's going to flame out.
Trump will flame out.
I think he's a Roman candle that's destined to burn out.
I think Donald Trump is going to flame out soon.
Every time people predict the demise of Donald Trump, he gets stronger.
Every time we try to predict that it's happened, we've been wrong.
I'm done predicting about Donald Trump.
You always wonder whether Trump's about to go over the line.
No, there is no line.
Always seems to recover from this. Everybody that said the latest round of nonsense was going to destroy his candidacy, just stop. We've been saying that for 6 months. Stop. You're going to be wrong.
I was wrong. I thought Donald Trump was going to self-destruct.
Yeah, I'm doubling down on my demise theory. I think he's going to collapse. I think he's going to be like sitting, taking the oath of office on some January 1st, and I'll still be predicting a demise.
On behalf of ourselves and our colleagues, we promise to do better this year.
I do, based on your theme, believe that he's here to stay for a while, maybe through a few primaries, but he is not going to be the nominee.
As I've mentioned before, Victor, Donald Trump is not the Republican nominee.
Now there's this Trump thing going on, I gather. He's doing okay in the polls for a while, but he's not going to be the nominee either. So we'll be fine.
Well, I don't think it's likely that Donald Trump will be the nominee, but it's obviously too early to tell. I would vote for the nominee of the Republican Party, and I don't believe that's going to be Donald Trump.
Can he win the nomination?
Well, sure he can. I mean, you can make a case that probably 6 or 7 people can make the nomination. Do I think it's likely? No.
The only thing is Donald Trump hasn't won this nomination. The majority of Republican voters don't want Donald Trump as their nominee.
And Donald Trump, who is not going to be the nominee.
Number one, as a Republican, are you going to be able to support the Republican nominee if his name is Donald Trump?
Donald Trump will not be the nominee.
All right, but that's not answering the question.
I feel very confident that the nominee is going to be anyone but Donald Trump.
The polling and common sense will take you away from Trump getting the nomination.
I don't think he'll be at the top of the ticket, one, so it's a hypothetical for me. I don't think it's going to happen.
He's the front runner. According to the polls and the elections, he could become the nominee, and we're not going to let that happen.
Ultimately, the Republican Party will reach out to all voters based on who our nominee is. And I don't believe Donald Trump will be our nominee.
In fact, it's almost inevitable to say whoever is really the front runner running away with it today is not going to be the nominee.
And I believe that Donald Trump will not be the nominee. Well, he's not going to be the nominee, Martha.
Donald Trump is not going to get the nomination.
Donald is not going to be the GOP nominee. We're going to beat him. Well, listen, Martha, nobody's going to clinch it on the first ballot. Nobody is getting to 1237. I'm not, but Donald Trump is, and I.
So Donald Trump will lose, and he will then destroy the Republican Party.
Can Donald Trump win a general election? My view is no.
You're never going to be president of the United States by insulting your way to the presidency.
Let's see, I'm at 42 and you're at 3, so
Doesn't matter.
Far I'm doing better.
Doesn't matter.
So far I'm doing better.
Well, I can't find a single Republican. I talked to probably 12 Republican senators yesterday or their representatives. I couldn't find a single one who now thinks they're going to win.
Donald Trump is not going to get the nomination.
I'd like to support the nominee, but he's not going to be the nominee. That's just not going to happen.
Well, I don't think it's likely that Donald Trump will be the nominee.
He is not going to be the nominee.
Well, I'm going to support the Republican nominee, and I'm comfortable that it's not going to be Donald Trump.
Donald Trump is not going to get this Republican nomination.
So, Jenny, could he actually win?
No freaking way!
Do not tell me that Donald Trump is in this to win this, okay? He's a sideshow.
I don't think his plan has anything to do with Latinos. His plan, his strategy is to win the White House without Latinos. I don't think he can do it.
I'll leave it to you to speculate on how this whole race is going to go.
Well, I don't think it's likely that Donald Trump will be the nominee.
He is not going to be the nominee.
But he's not going to be the nominee, Chuck.
Donald Trump, who is not going to be the nominee.
Donald Trump is not going to be the Republican nominee.
Donald Trump is not getting to 1237.
He might get to 1,237. Realistically, I wouldn't bet $1 on it.
He might be leading the Republican ticket next.
I know you don't believe that, but I want to go on.
Donald Trump has reached the number of delegates
Needed to clinch the Republican nomination
for president.
I'm so honored.
I continue to believe Mr. Trump will not be president.
with Latinos
And it would be sweet, sweet justice if after everything he has said, after every attack he has made against Latinos, after he has thrown out Latino anchors from press events, after he hasn't done any outreach, after he has questioned a judge's citizenship, after he has called Mexicans rapists, it would be sweet, sweet justice if tonight it was the Latino vote that defeated Donald Trump.
There's not going to be a President Donald Trump. That's not going to happen.
Donald Trump will not become president.
He's not going to be president. Donald Trump is not going to be president of the United States. Take it to the bank.
Okay.
I guarantee it.
All right, all right.
I think if he becomes the president, he'll make it great because the States is already great.
I think that man will be president of the United States right about the time that spaceships come down filled with dinosaurs and red capes.
On that note, Tom, pleasure.
Take it
Thank
from
you very
me.
much.
How about that?
Cheers, Tom.
And then, of course, there's Donald Trump. Donald Trump has been saying that he will run for president as a Republican, which is surprising since I just assumed he was running as a joke.
Donald Trump, just last week, he confirmed to the National Review that he is again considering a run in 2016.
Do it. Do it. Look at me. Do it. I will personally write you a campaign check now on behalf of this country, which does not want you to be president, but which badly wants you to run.
So when you stand and deliver that State of the Union address, in no part of your mind or brain can you imagine Donald Trump standing up one day and delivering a State of the Union address?
Well, I can imagine it in a Saturday night skit. I continue to believe Mr. Trump will not be president.
He will never be president of the United States.
And we better be ready for the fact that he might be leading the Republican ticket.
Next. I know you don't believe that, but I want to go on.
Sorry to laugh.
Okay, here we are. And which Republican candidate has the best chance of winning the general election?
Of the declared ones, right now, Donald Trump.
And so, right now, Mr. Trump, to answer your call for political honesty, I just want to say, you're not going to be president, all right? It's been fun. It's been great. I love you. But come on, buddy. All, let's say, cow poo-poo aside, there is zero chance we'll be seeing you being sworn in on the Capitol steps with your hand on a giant golden Bible.
I'll make a prediction, though, for you. And I don't really get into predictions much, but this one I'll go way out on a limb. Donald Trump will never, ever be president of the United States. That Trump should not be in this race. He's an absurdity. He is a travesty.
Donald Trump will never be elected president of the United States.
Donald Trump is a here today, gone tomorrow candidate for president of the United States. Donald Trump is not going to be president of the United States. Ever respectful of the fact that the people have not voted, he's not going to be president of the United States.
Let's be clear. Donald Trump will lose the election.
I mean, he had a really good chance to be different and really have a chance to change things, but he doesn't do the work. He's lazy.
We talk about him every day, and we continuously bash him.
He's not going to be the president. Don't worry about it.
Exactly.
This will be a wake-up call to the Republican Party. Despite Boris thinking that Donald Trump could win New York, like this, the presidential race is over.
Could I just cut through? I have one thing to say, one thing only, and that is that this race is over. Tomorrow morning, the money will dry up. The Republicans will start to hide. Trump has no place to go. This race, effectively, as of tonight, is no longer a presidential race. I mean, everything I know about presidential politics, and I've been through 5 of them, I've never seen one like this. This race is over. You might as well accept it. And the question now is, how do you minimize damage? And the only way you can do that, it seems to me, is to try to grab hold of some old conservative value things and do what Mondale did in '84, which was try to save a few people down ballot. But as far as Donald Trump's concerned, it will never, ever, ever happen.
President Obama will go down as perhaps the worst president in the history of the United States! Exclamation point at real Donald Trump. Well, at real Donald Trump. At least I will go down as a president.
The scene here is so different than it was a few hours ago when people were happy and relaxed. There are people who are just in shock, and they are just stunned at the idea that they were completely sure they were coming to this event to celebrate Hillary Clinton becoming the first female president, and now they are confronting the reality that they could be walking out of here perhaps expecting that Donald Trump is going to become president.
We have a major projection right now. Donald Trump will take Ohio. CNN projects Donald Trump will win Ohio with its 18 electoral votes. And CNN projects Donald Trump will carry the state of Florida with its 29 electoral votes. Donald Trump wins Florida, a huge win for Donald Trump. That's his second home in Florida. Donald Trump will carry those 29 electoral votes. He's ahead right now with 98% of the vote in by more than 131,000 votes. A big win for Donald Trump in Florida. He predicted he would win Florida. He has won Florida. CNN now projects that Donald Trump will carry the state of Wisconsin. He will win Wisconsin with its 10 electoral votes. He's cracked the so-called blue wall that Hillary Clinton had tried to create. Donald Trump wins Wisconsin. Take a look at this. 92% of the vote is in. He's up by 75,000 votes plus 10 electoral votes. Donald Trump, the winner in Wisconsin. Let's take a look at the Electoral College map right now with that win in Wisconsin. Look at how close he is. Right now, he has 257 electoral votes. He needs 13 more, 270, to be elected president of the United States. Hillary Clinton remains at 215. Let's go over to Jake and Dana. He is getting incredibly, incredibly close, Jake.
And the wall comes tumbling down. This is the blue wall that Hillary Clinton had talked about. This is a state that Hillary Clinton hasn't even visited since the Democratic convention over the summer.
We are going to make this decision now. The Fox News decision desk has called Pennsylvania for Donald Trump. This means that Donald Trump will be the 45th president of the United States, winning the most unreal, surreal election we have ever seen.
Dana, you wanted to be precise, so go ahead.
That's right. CNN can report that Hillary Clinton has called Donald Trump to concede the race. She has called Donald Trump to say that she will not be president, and I'm not sure the exact words, but probably to congratulate President-elect Donald Trump. So that has happened in the last few moments.
Right now, a historic moment. We can now project the winner of the presidential race. CNN projects Donald Trump wins the presidency. The business tycoon and TV personality capping his improbable political journey with an astounding upset victory. Donald J. Trump will become the 45th president of the United States, defeating Hillary Clinton in a campaign unlike anything we've seen in our lifetime. Donald Trump wins the presidency of the United States. He is now going to be called President-elect Donald Trump.
Are you okay? You okay? Are you all right?
Everybody should head home.
Oh, boy.
You should get some
Get out of
sleep.
here.
And I want every
Go home to
person
mommy.
across the country who's
Tell her to
supporting
tuck you in bed.
That your
he's
voices
such a nice guy.
and your enthusiasm
Nasty
means so
little-
much
I'll
to
tell you,
her
nasty
and to
people.
Tim and to all of us.
Out,
You are in
out,
all of our
out.
hearts. Thank
Get
you.
out of here. Bye. Go home to mommy.
Some magazines are facing big embarrassments today. Newsweek had already shipped out this cover, Madam Secretary, but quickly had to change it to this, President Trump.
Ladies and gentlemen, the next president of the United States.
Donald Trump.
I've just received a call from Secretary Clinton. She congratulated us, it's about us, on our victory. And I congratulated her and her family on a very, very hard-fought campaign. I mean, she fought very hard. Now it's time for America to bind the wounds of division. I pledge to every citizen of our land that I will be president for all Americans. And this is so important to me. For those who have chosen not to support me in the past, of which there were a few people, I'm reaching out to you for your guidance and your help so that we can work together and unify our great country. Working together, we will begin the urgent task of rebuilding our nation and renewing the American dream. It's been what they call a historic event, but to be really historic, we have to do a great job. And I promise you that I will not let you down. We will do a great job. We will do a great job. And I can only say that while the campaign is over, our work on this movement is now really just beginning.